This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. This morning, I want to talk before the game about one word and what that one word means and what we sometimes confuse that one word to mean. And that one word is expectations. What are the expectations for today? How much do those expectations actually matter? And how do you even set an expectation? Is one positive expectation, does that require a subset of other positive expectations? These are all things that go into it. Because for me personally, if I told you my expectations, you would think that I'm all over the place. But all these things can happen at the same time. We tend to live in a world where we treat everybody's opinion as a monolith, right? We all do it. I do it. Everybody does it. It's convenient. It's easy. We treat everybody, if you're somebody who doesn't think Stefanski should even be talked about being fired, we have 4 or 5 general arguments that we lump into that category. Anybody who seems like they might be in that category, boom, they in that monolith. It don't matter what their actual point is, they're in that monolith. Same thing goes if you're somebody who wants Stefanski fired and somebody makes an argument for him not to be. No matter where they are, they say one thing that's kind of close to the buzzword that you've been hearing about on the defensive talking points for Kevin Stefanski. Boom, you throw him into that pile and you argue with the concept. You don't really argue with the actual person. In doing that, right, making everybody a monolith, making every side of an argument a monolith, we tend to look at things in a very singular mindset where a positive expectation needs all of these other positive results. Like if I said today, I expect the Cleveland Browns to win this game, I'm sure there will be people in the comment section, if I don't allude any further, or who just listen to this point, who will get in there and fire off and say, I can't believe you think Deshaun Watson's going to come back and be this and that. That's so irresponsible. And I can't believe that you think that Kevin Stefanski is going to call a good game. And I can't believe you think the defense is going to, like, all I said was I expect the Browns to win this game. But people assume that if you have an opinion that disagrees with them at the start, they're going to find all the sub-opinions that you have within that they also disagree with and throw those on you, if you get what I'm saying. And that's the tricky thing about expectations. Another tricky thing about expectations, I go through this every time the schedule drops. We tend to act. We tell ourselves this lie all the time as football fans. And the lie that we tell ourselves as football fans is, I don't care how it happens. I just hope they win. We've all said that lie. We've all said that lie thinking damn well that we mean that lie. But understand it is a lie. You care how this team wins. You care how this team loses. I know there are people who will get up in arms with me. We're over moral victories. We don't need to be talking about moral victories. Sure. But if the team loses in a certain way, you're just not going to be as mad about it as if they lost in a different way. Hell, there are ways that this team, not this week. This week, there's no way you can lose and be happy with it. I'm just going to put that. Deshaun can throw for 5,000 yards in one game. If you lost it, you'd be pissed. So there's no getting over a loss versus the Cardinals today, right? That's going to not be good, no matter how you slice it. But if you lose to like a Baltimore Ravens, there are ways that you can lose a game versus Baltimore and feel more positive about this team's outcome for the rest of the year than ways that the Browns could win this game in against the Arizona Cardinals, and you would feel positive. Like I'm saying, let me rephrase that. I don't think I phrased that clear enough. There is a scenario, or there are scenarios that exist where you could lose a game against Baltimore and feel better about the team in the following weeks because of how they played in a loss. And there are scenarios where you would feel worse about this team than you would if they came off a win, but they kind of like scraped by or like squeezed out of it. We tell ourselves this lie all the time. We don't care how it happens. I just care that they win. That's not true. Y'all care. Y'all care especially this year, because how many wins have we been complaining about? I'm going to tell you right now, I've been doing this job for like 5 years. I've never seen a loss have to be covered. I've never seen a win. See, that's how down people were about it. I've never seen a win be covered so negatively that I legitimately forgot it was a win until this year. That's how that Colts win was. That Colts week, there wasn't the same energy behind that win. People weren't as excited about that win, and people were complaining all week about that win as if they didn't win. Just telling you what's real. So again, these are lies we tell ourselves. I don't care how they win. I don't care how they lose. You do. You care. You care how they win. You care how they lose. Don't lie. You do. If they win and Deshaun throws for 4 touchdowns, that's going to hit different than if they win and Deshaun throws for 2 interceptions. Because you know, if he throws for 4 touchdowns, he might be able to just get back. We might have a chance versus Baltimore. If he throws 4 interceptions, ooh, boy, you're not feeling great about that Baltimore game now, are you? It matters. I do this with the schedule game all the time, right? Because we just act like it doesn't matter how you get to these records. Oh, I'll be okay with 8-1, or I'll be okay with 9 wins, Quincy. I'll be okay. You're not going to be okay with 9 wins if you win 9 games in a row and lose 8. It's how you get there. The how you get to a result is almost as important as the result itself. That's the truth. That's the truth. When it comes to how you feel about that result, as a fan, how you react to that result, the how, just as important, is the result itself. I'm telling you, it's the truth. Go back and ask yourself, were there wins where I didn't love how they got there, so I wasn't really all excited like I usually am after a win? I'm pretty sure there has been. There's been plenty of games like that. Baker Mayfield era had a ton of them. Remember that Detroit game where even Baker Mayfield acted like he lost after a win versus Detroit? Stuff happens, man. How you get there matters. It does, especially when it comes to how you feel about that game. Now, that brings me back to expectations, because how do you get there matters because of the expectations you have. And I'm asking y'all right now, what's your actual expectations for this game? I worry that we're going to make the same mistake that we've been making with Deshaun Watson since he's gotten here. We made this mistake in November last year when he came back off suspension. We made this mistake in September this year when he played his first regular season opener. And we made this, and we're making this mistake now. We're on the verge of making this mistake now. At no point in any of these spots where Deshaun Watson was returning from a layoff or whatever it was, or, his first offseason in however long years, all these things, he hasn't thrown a football in like 4 weeks, whatever. Every time we do this, we come in not expecting it to be a process. We get frustrated because it is a process. On one hand, I understand that. You get rid of Baker Mayfield, who is a process to which the ceiling is known on, for Deshaun Watson, and you kind of expect that he's a ready-made product, that there's going to be no process. I expected it. I thought he was going to come out after that suspension and kick ass. Right? Y'all was on this channel last year. Y'all know where I was. I'm not about to hide like I wasn't thinking that this was going to be, but I'm trying to learn from my mistakes. That's what I'm saying. And I'm hoping that I could bring some of y'all along with me, because we made this mistake collectively. We was all on that Kool-Aid. Shout out G. Bush. By the way, buy the merch. My brother got one of them hoodies, by the way. I'm kind of mad because he'll never wear my hoodies, but, you know, he got a G. Bush hoodie. But, you know, nonetheless... Nonetheless, to all the Kool-Aid and Flavor Aid drinkers out there, I'm trying to learn from that mistake, because we made that same mistake when we thought he was going to come in week 1 this year like everything was cool. Then we started to figure out it was going to be a process. We have to assume there's going to be a process here. We have to stop getting frustrated with every pass attempt. It's a process. This man has played very little football in 4 years. It's his own fault. Sure, you can. I'm not here to exonerate him by any means, but it's going to be a process. I think we need to accept that. It's going to be a process. It's not what anybody wanted. It's not the dream that we were sold, but we can still get the results if we accept that it's a process. We thought that we were going to get him flown in here, drop down in our lap, and have elite quarterback play overnight. That was kind of a foolish dream for people in Cleveland to believe, because one, when has it ever been that easy? When has the process never had to come in Cleveland? We always have. Even when we had LeBron, we had to deal with the process. Like, it's gonna be a process. We cannot continue to expect Deshaun Watson to get drop cold into a season and be in 2020 form. It's going to be a process. And we should have figured this out before the 6 games or the 11 game suspension. We should have figured this out before we got all excited about training camp and what he did. It's going to be a process. The truth is that Deshaun Watson played week 1. He was all right. Played week 2, not all right. Played week 3, steps in the right direction. He wasn't finished with this process in week 3. We felt like he probably had 3 more weeks of process. Then he got hurt. Missed about, 6 weeks, 5 games. There's going to be another process. He's not going to step on the field against Arizona in all likelihood, and I would love to be wrong. I would love for this video to age terribly. He's not going to step on the field, though, in Arizona and light it up immediately. He's probably going to look rusty. He's probably going to look like this thing's going to take a couple of weeks, because it is a process. That doesn't mean how he looks in Arizona is going to be how he looks for the rest of the year. But he's probably going to look a little rusty against Arizona. He's probably going to look a little shaken versus Baltimore. Maybe he starts to get it right against Pittsburgh. And then in the next 3 weeks, you start to see improvement on improvement and on improvement. And then by the time you get to the Bears game, he's back to being who he is. But that requires a lot of things. One, he needs to stay healthy. My important thing this week is that Deshaun Watson finishes this game with no setbacks. How he gets there, I'm willing to accept that. As long as you can win this game and he can finish this game. How he looks, I'm willing to accept that as part of the process. My question is, are you? Or do you demand that he come out here and throw for 5 touchdowns? Are we still going to ignore the process that needs to be done here? Because it's obvious to me at this point, from watching what we've seen of Deshaun Watson so far, that this is something that's going to take a little bit more time than we anticipated. That there is a process that needs to be done, that he clearly needs to play in games before he can get comfortable enough to even be remotely close to what he's going to be, what he was a couple years ago. And then we'll see what version of that we get with him. It's going to be a process. My expectations this week or today, win this game, get Deshaun Watson out healthy. And if you do those two things, I'm willing to accept how it happens. I don't care how ugly it is. I'm willing to anticipate that it's probably going to be ugly. It's probably not going to look clean. It's what it is. I'm accepting that as part of the process because this is going to be a process. And again, I'm trying to learn from my own mistakes because I told y'all, oh man, he going to come back, man. I don't know. He could come back, play. Ignored the process. Came back, training camp, saw the training camp practice, heard everything that I was hearing. Oh, he going to be fired. Yeah, that's what's up. Nah, it was a process. Hey, man, we've been told 2 times through his physical play on the field, this is going to be a process. The 3rd time he returns, we can't sit here and act like that process ain't going to happen. I just want this process to get the chance to complete itself. And it's not going to complete itself if he gets hurt. So finish the game, win the game. Those are my 2 expectations. If it doesn't look pretty from Deshaun, as long as he can finish, I'm willing to accept those results, right? When it comes to whatever the individual statistics look like, I could care less. As long as he can finish, as long as he can get through it. Look at Joe Burrow, right? It looked ugly for a couple weeks, but he was able to finish those games. He was able to get through it. He kept the Bengals season alive, and then boom, now he's back. The process has happened with him. And Joe Burrow, if he has to go through a process, you damn straight that Deshaun Watson has to go through a process. Hell, Pat Mahomes had to go through process. Like everybody's got to go through the process when coming back off of a long delay of play or missing practice for a long time. It's a process to get back. It's a process to play for a new football team. And right now, he has the new football team process and the coming back from injury process and the coming back from a 700-day layoff process all going. We need to let this process play out. That doesn't mean it has to take the rest of the season, but we need to just let it play out for a couple weeks, see where it happens, and just hope he finishes the game without setbacks. We need to not be as focused on what the stats look like, even though people are going to do that. I don't really care, but people are going to do that. Let the process play itself out and see who's making jokes, who's making fun of certain things at the end of the year. But you got to let the process play itself out. But that's my thoughts on today about expectations and the process. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have a good night.